Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, the place where we unpack the hidden stories in company filings. And let's just say Baker Hughes has a new chapter ready for us, and it's all about their latest financial performance. Today we're diving into an 8K filing from Baker Hughes Company, a major player in the energy technology sector. This filing essentially tells us about some recent happenings with the company, and most importantly, it points to a news release they put out on July 2010, 2020. It points to a news release they put out on July 22nd, 2025. This release is packed with their financial results for the second quarter that ended on June 30th, 2025. Now, usually these 8K filings are just preliminary, but this one gives us a direct link to their earnings with the company, and most importantly, it points to a news release they put out on July 22nd, 2025. This release is packed with their financial results for the second quarter that ended on June 30th, 2025. Now, usually these 8K filings are just preliminary, but this one gives us a direct link to their earnings announcement. So think of this as the official signal that Baker Hughes has shared its latest financial story with the world. Before we get into the numbers, let's remember who Baker Hughes is. They're a global giant providing essential technology and services for the oil and gas industry, and increasingly for the broader energy transition. So when we talk about their performance, it gives us a real pulse check on a huge part of the global economy. The date here, July 22nd, 2025, is key. It's the day they drop this report, and usually that's when their financial story for the previous quarter becomes public knowledge. This filing is essentially confirming that the public announcement has been made. Now let's talk about how the market sees Baker Hughes. Their Class A common stock trades under the ticker BKR on the Nasdaq Stock Market LLC. This is how most everyday investors interact with the company. They also have these things called senior notes, which are basically long-term loans the company takes out from investors maturing in 2040. These are identified by the symbol BKR40 and are also on the Nasdaq Stock Market LLC. This tells us they are raising capital not just from selling stock, but also through debt, which is pretty standard for large corporations. Now to the heart of the matter, the results themselves. This filing tells us that on July 22nd, 2025, Baker Hughes announced their second quarter results. While this specific 8K doesn't contain the detailed financial tables themselves, it serves as the official notice that this information has been released and is available. It's like the cover page for a very important report. The filing also mentions that Baker Hughes will be holding a conference call to discuss these earnings. This is standard practice for publicly traded companies. It's where management answers questions from analysts and investors. They mentioned this call was previously announced on June 13th. This shows they are communicating their performance and plans proactively. The details about the webcast, which people can watch live on their investor relations website, are also provided. This is all about transparency and allowing stakeholders to get a deeper understanding of the company's progress. What's also important to note is their mention of non-GAAP financial measures. This means, besides the standard accounting rules, they also present other figures possibly to show a clearer picture of their operational performance, ignoring certain one-time or irregular items. They're basically saying, look at our official numbers prepared according to the rules, but also consider these other adjusted numbers which they believe better represent the underlying strength of the business. They emphasize that these non-GAAP numbers should be looked at alongside the GAAP numbers and not as a replacement. This is a common practice in corporate reporting, and it's good that they're being upfront about it. They also clearly state that any reconciliations between the non-GAAP and GAAP numbers can be found in the news release itself. There's also a mention of Regulation FD disclosure. This is really important. Regulation fair disclosure means that when a company releases material information to investors, it must be done in a way that makes it available to everyone at the same time. No selective disclosure to a few favored analysts or investors. So this filing is a confirmation that they are adhering to that rule by making their earnings news public through the release. And finally, the filing lists the exhibits. The most crucial one, labeled 99.1, is that news release announcing their second quarter results. This is where all the juicy financial details are actually contained. The other exhibit, 1.4, is related to interactive data files, which is how companies are increasingly making their financial information more accessible and machine readable for analysis. Now, while this 8K itself doesn't have the financial tables, it points us directly to the source of that information, the news release. Unfortunately, we don't have that news release content directly embedded in this particular document to dissect the numbers. However, the fact that they are releasing detailed quarterly results and holding a conference call tells us they are actively managing their communication around performance. In a typical scenario like this, we would be scouring those tables for revenue growth, profit margins, and key segment performance. We'd be looking to see how their different business units like oil field services or industrial and energy technology are performing. We'd compare these numbers to analyst expectations and to their own guidance previously provided. We'd also be keen to see what they're saying about future outlook market conditions and any strategic shifts they're making. For example, if we were to see their revenue in oilfield services had jumped significantly, we'd want to understand if that's due to higher prices, higher volumes of work, or a combination. If their industrial segment was struggling, we'd look for reasons behind that and what steps they're taking to turn it around. We'd also pay close attention to their cash flow from operations, a key indicator of how much cash the business is generating from its core activities. Any commentary on debt levels, capital expenditures, and shareholder returns like dividends or stock buybacks would also be critical pieces of the puzzle. And to wrap it up, the report is signed off by Fernando Contreras, Vice President, Chief Compliance Officer, and Corporate Secretary. This signifies that the filing has been officially reviewed and approved by a senior officer of the company, ensuring its accuracy and compliance with regulatory requirements. Now looking at this from a higher level, the filing itself is straightforward. It's a notification that financial results have been released. The real story would be in the accompanying news release we mentioned. From what can be inferred, Baker Hughes is actively communicating its financial performance and operational updates. The inclusion of non-GAAP measures indicates a focus on presenting a specific narrative about their business health. The market will be closely watching the details in that news release to gauge the company's momentum in a dynamic energy landscape. So to sum it up, this 8K is more of a signpost pointing to the detailed financial report. Baker Hughes has reported its second quarter results, and investors are now digging into those numbers to understand the company's current health and future prospects. Without the actual financial tables from the news release, it's hard to give a specific financial verdict, but we know the information is out there and it's been officially announced, giving us the opportunity as investors and analysts to dive deep. What's your take on Baker Hughes and its role in the current energy market? Do you think they are positioned for success in the coming quarters? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this breakdown helpful, please give this video a thumbs up. It really helps us out. And for more in-depth looks at these corporate documents, make sure you're subscribed and hit that notification bell. Don't forget to join our Discord community for even more discussions. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.